I think for most of us, one of our largest spending categories on our credit cards is dining out. And so if you're like the vast majority of us that spend several $100s a month at restaurants and fast food and just maybe delivery services for food, then it's really important to have a credit card that has a great dining multiplier. And this is particularly difficult to determine which is the best card for dining, because it seems like almost every card these days, or at least of the higher level cards, dining is a very, very common kind of elevated category in these cards. So what I've tried to do in this video is I'm going to go through a bunch of common cards and just kind of rank them in a tier list on what are the best dining cards. And we're going to go from S tier only down to C tier, because anything that's D tier or below wouldn't be on this list, because I'm only going to look at cards that give at least 3 points or 3%, if you're looking at cashback cards, per dollar spent on dining. So let's dive in. If you would, both hit that like and also subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our videos in the future. Okay, as we get started, let's look at a few considerations. Now, some of the things I tried to take in mind as I was looking at this list is, how do I rate these cards against one another? I mean, what makes one better than the other? I mean, can some have a pretty good multiplier and they're a no annual fee card? Well, certainly that's better than paying $400 for a card to pay zero. So why wouldn't that card just automatically be better? Well, there's a lot of things to kind of wrap into that equation. So of course, the first thing that I consider is points earned. How much do you get? So I kind of didn't give any boost to a card that was 3 points per dollar or 3% cash back, because that seems to be kind of the floor or the base standard for these cards that are good for dining. But if a card gives 4 points per dollar or 4% or 5, then I gave them kind of a boost in the ranking. So that kind of played into the equation. Also, some of these cards are cashback cards, others are transferable currency cards. So I kind of gave just kind of a little bit of an advantage to transferable currency cards, because with cashback, the value that you're going to get is limited to basically what your cashback is worth, which is usually basically 1 cent per point. So if you use transferable currencies, MR points, or if you use Citi Thank You points or Chase Ultimate Rewards, whatever points you use, if they're transferable, you can get even more value. So I tried to factor that into equation, gave a little bump to the cards that gave transferable currencies. The last three things I kind of wrapped in were, does the card have caps? So some of the best cards, as far as multiplier wise, you can only get those elevated multipliers on, say, $500 a month in spend or something like that. So I factored that in, and I kind of would reduce a card's rating based upon that. And then we also have to think about annual fees. If a card has an annual fee, well, that doesn't necessarily make it a bad card, but are there things that offset that annual fee? So I tried to take that into account. And I also, along with that, tried to consider some of the benefits of the card. So, what does it give you for that? Some of the better cards have a pretty high annual fee, but you get a lot of stuff for it, including lounge access, some of that kind of stuff. So how would all of that wrap together? So certainly this is going to be my opinion. Now I'll tell you that in this list, I don't have any business cards, and I'm not looking at any co-branded cards. So I know there's some Hilton cards that give elevated bonuses for dining, but Hilton points just aren't the same as cashback or transferable currencies. So I'm not going to consider any of those co-branded cards. So let's go ahead. We're going to do it by issuer, and we're going to dive right into the list of our ultimate tier list of dining cards on the market today. The first issuer that we start with is probably the best known of all. Well, either them or American Express, and that is Chase. Chase has a lot of cards that have elevated bonuses for dining. Now, if you're looking for a card for grocery shopping, they don't have a lot of great cards for that, but they have a lot of them that have at least 3 points per dollar on dining purchases. So we'll just start with the big boy of the mix, and that is the Chase Sapphire Reserve. Now, the Sapphire Reserve, it gives 3 points per dollar on dining. this is a big time card with a high annual fee, but it also gives priority pass and all of the rest and access to their Chase lounges. And, you know, you get that travel credit of $300 that's really easy to use every year. So all that kind of offsets some of that annual fee for sure. But when we look at this card, it also, there's no cap on how much you could spend, an unlimited amount of money on dining and get that 3 points per dollar. But 3 points per dollar, it's kind of the baseline. So where would I put the Chase Sapphire Reserve? Well, for me, it's a good card. A lot of people love it. I used to have it. I have some friends that have it. And I think it is a solid B tier card. Next, we look at its little brother, and that's the Chase Sapphire Preferred. Now, I have a Chase Sapphire Preferred. The only reason I have a Chase Sapphire Preferred is so I have an avenue whereby to transfer my points out from Chase, because I use my Freedom Flex card a lot, but I don't use the Sapphire Preferred except because it's really good to use overseas. I often use it when we're traveling. But besides that, it kind of stays in the drawer. Does indeed give 3 points per dollar. I have other cards that give a lot more. I don't use it for that. But the rest of its multipliers just aren't that great. It's kind of overhyped in a lot of people's opinion, and I would share that viewpoint. So on this one, I just can't rank it as well as its older brother because it's just not as good a card as the Reserve is. So I'm going to put this one in the C category. It certainly is fine to get 3 Chase Ultimate Reward points per dollar, but it's not like a superstar dining card. It's not a superstar card for anything except to transfer out to partners. So I give it a C. Then there are the Chase Freedom cards, the Freedom Flex and the Freedom Unlimited. Now these are 0 annual fee. They're cashback cards, but if you have one of the Sapphire cards, then you can move those points over and transfer them. So that's good. It doesn't get kind of a knock for that. Also, these cards they give 3 points per dollar in dining. They give some other good categories. The Freedom Flex is my favorite of the two, whereas the Freedom Unlimited gives 1.5 on everything. Freedom Flex has those 5% rotating categories up to a cap of $1,500 per quarter. So I think these are really good cards. I think they're definitely better than the Sapphire Preferred, even as a dining card, because they have other categories and there's no annual fee. Now they do have foreign transaction fees, so don't use them overseas. But I'm going to lump these two together, the 2 Freedom cards, and I'll say that these are pretty good cards. I think when it comes to a dining card, they're a solid B category. Now we look at Capital One. Now Capital One, if we were talking about cards that are catch-all cards, it would be at the very top of the list with the Venture X card. 2 points for everything and just amazing value in that card. But really the card that competes in this sector is the Saver One card. Now the Saver One card has a lot of really good categories and it's useful for a lot of things. It's kind of like some of the Citi cards that, you know, have multiple categories where you're getting elevated bonuses on your spend. So one of them here is dining. So you're going to get 3 points per dollar with dining with the Saver One card. There's no annual fee on the Saver One card. Overall, it's a really good card. And if you have the Venture X or a Venture, or even the Venture One, which is a no annual fee card, you can connect those 2 cards and you can transfer those out to partners. So it doesn't take a hit on that either. So because of the no annual fee and just really being an all-around good card for a no annual fee card, I would say the Saver One card, it's equal at least to those Freedom cards, and I put it in the B tier. Now, if you watch many of my videos, you'll know that this next issuer, if I had to choose only one, it would be Citibank. I love Citi Thank You Rewards, and it's not because I think they have the best travel partners. They don't. And it's not because they have the best customer service. They don't. It's because if you want to earn a lot of points, to me, there's no better way than the Citi cards. And it's proven by this, because I'm going to show you some cards. One of them is no longer available, but I have it. I love it. And that is the Citi Prestige card. The Citi Prestige card is the greatest dining card, in my opinion, that has ever existed. And maybe that's why it's no longer available anymore, unless you're grandfathered in like I am and have it. But it's a card that gives 5 Citi Thank You points on travel directly with the airlines or through their portal, directly with the airlines. So it matches the American Express Platinum on that. But where it beats the American Express Platinum all over town is it has 5 points per dollar unlimited on dining. 5 points per dollar on dining. So I have used this card as my dedicated dining card for years and racked up thousands, tens of thousands of thank you points through that. So the Citi Prestige, it's got a high annual fee, but it's got a lot of credits and things that offset that. Has a great priority pass. I don't know where else to put it. It is going to be on this list the only S card that I have, because as far as in the S category, to me, that has to be a card that just gives you amazing dining rewards. And this is the one that I have that does. So the Citi Prestige S category. Now we move on to the Citi Custom Cash. Now, the Citi Custom Cash is one of my favorite credit cards. We have 2 of them in our household. We use them diligently because you get to pick what category, and it's a broad range of stuff. Everything from dining to gas to groceries to home improvement stores to live entertainment. I mean, you get to choose. Whatever you spend the most on, you get 5 points per dollar, 5% back. But if you have a higher level card, it's 5 points per dollar that can be transferred. So this card is just amazing. And if you only use it for one category, and if you use it for that, you're getting 5 on everything. So if a person had, say, the Strata and then had this card and used it for dining, they're going to get 5 points per dollar. So where does that put it? Well, this card, no annual fee, but it does have a foreign transaction fee as far as I know. So that kind of is a little bit down on it. And the reason it's not an S card is because it has that $500 cap per month. So because of that cap, otherwise it'd be in the S tier, but this card is a crazy good A tier dining card if you use it right and use it only for dining. And if you have another card that helps you be able to transfer those points out. Now we look at the Citi Strata Premier. Now the Strata Premier replaced the Citi Premier card, and it's kind of the little brother of the one that's not offered anymore. I mentioned before, the Prestige, but it gives really good category bonuses. It costs $95, $99 a year. It is, it gives a hotel credit, but you got to spend $500 through the portal. That's just so. But it gives 3 points per dollar on dining. It gives 3 points per dollar on gas. It gives 3 points per dollar on groceries. It's just a really good earning card. But for the purposes of this video, we're looking at the kind of a dedicated dining card. And as a dedicated dining card, comparing it to its competitors, I think that you do better with some other cards. So for instance, if you had this card, you're probably not going to use it for dining. You're probably going to use the Custom Cash. And this card just serves as the gateway to be able to transfer out points to partners. So is it a good card? It is, especially if you're using it for multiple things, but as a dedicated dining card, because it has that almost $100 annual fee, and it's kind of difficult to get that $100 back, although it does give you transfer partners. I really think that Strata Premier as a dedicated dining card, even though it's a great card overall, is really in the C tier. Now we move to US Bank. Now US Bank, they're cashback type cards, but US Bank, they have some pretty good earning cards. The first is the Altitude Go card, and it gives 4x back at dining. And that's pretty solid. It's a no annual fee card, 4x back at dining. And so this card, when you factor in, the only thing that makes it not an A tier card is it's US Bank. So you can't use transferable points. So I give this one solid B tier. Now the second card, the Cash Plus, is really interesting because you can do what you did with the Custom Cash. You can choose your category and get 5% back. And again, this card would be a very high card if it had unlimited earning. Now it has no annual fee, so that's good, but there is a limit. And I can't remember, I think it's $2,000 every quarter, something like that. You can correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but that's pretty good, but it's not certainly unlimited. So you're only going to be able to rack up so many points again and not transferable. So I place this one also in the B tier. And the last one we look at from US Bank is the Altitude Reserve card. Now it's kind of their big boy travel card. You get some priority pass benefits, and the way I understand it, you can get some elevated multipliers in their travel portal with this card. And the real kind of selling point of this card is if you put it in your mobile wallet, you get 3x everywhere. Now that's great for everything in a general spend card if you use a lot of your mobile wallet spending. But as far as for a dedicated dining card, 3x is kind of the base of what we're talking about here. So it has a $400 annual fee. Yes, there's some elevated bonuses. I would kind of really want to put this in between tiers, but I think if I had to choose and I was looking for a dedicated dining card, this probably wouldn't be it, even though it's a great card overall. So even though it might be a C plus or a B minus, I really think it fits basically into the C tier. Now with Wells Fargo, we have two cards. We have the Autograph Journey and the Autograph card. The Autograph Journey has a $95 annual fee. The Autograph card doesn't have an annual fee. Have pretty good multipliers. I think it's 3x on dining. The Autograph Journey also gets like 5x on hotels. So they're really good, earning good cards. But I still think, again, just the earnings you get as a dedicated dining card, they're just kind of so-so. So in regard to where to put them on the list, I'm going to lump them together, the autograph cards, and I'm going to say they're pretty good. So I would say because they both, even the no annual fee, you get transfer partners. So I'm going to put both of these in the B tier when it comes to being a dedicated dining card. Next, we look at American Express. Now, American Express has a number of cards that have elevated categories. Of course, a lot of their cards have pretty high annual fees, so that kind of has to be wrapped in also. The first one we have to look at is kind of the big boy on the block, what people always think of as the food card, the American Express Gold card. Now, it has a pretty high annual fee. It's over $300 now, but if you go to the work of using the credits, you can get most of that or all of that back, and it gives 4x membership rewards points, so they're fully transferable on both dining and on groceries. That 4x, that's really good for membership rewards points. So where would I put the American Express Gold card? Well, even though it has a high annual fee, it can be offset through the credits. It's membership reward points. It's a lot of membership reward points. 4x is a great multiplier on this, and can be transferred out to partners. This is a great card. So I just don't think, even though I use the Prestige because I think it's better, the Gold card is a stellar dining card. So I have to put it in the A tier. Another card to consider is the Amex Green card. Now the Amex Green card is kind of a sleeper card in that a lot of people don't realize it. If you think that the Strata card from Citi has got great multipliers, and you think that the Capital OneSavor has good multipliers, this card, it's also like those cards and like the Wells Fargo cards. It's got a lot of 3x multipliers on it, and one of them is dining. The annual fee is less, and so the annual fee can be offset. I think you get a clear credit, which is worth more than that annual fee. You get a couple of Lounge Buddy type credits, but really 3x, it's a pretty good card. You get full access to American Express's transfer partners. So I'm going to put the American Express Green card in the B tier as far as a dedicated dining card. The last card on our list is from Bank of America, and it is their customized cash card. Now, that sounds a lot like Citi's custom cash card, but this is their customized cash card. And this one, you get to pick a category that you get 3%. It's a no annual fee card and all of that, but Bank of America's points, they're not transferable, so this card is just not going to be able to be used as flexibly as you could use other cards with transferable points. And so 3%, that's kind of the baseline of what we're looking at. It is no annual fee, so that's a bump to it. But overall, I think very few people are going to choose it as their dedicated dining card. So I put it in the C tier. So as we look back over this tier list, and you may disagree, and I'd love to hear your comments. I'm sure I missed some cards, so please point those out to me. But I think we see that a lot of these cards, if you want a dedicated dining card, there's a whole bunch of choices because most of them fell in the B tier and a few fell in the C tier, only one S tier, and you can't even apply for that card anymore, and just a couple of cards elevated up to the A tier. But you know, a B tier card is a pretty good card. So what it kind of tells me is that, you know, there's not a lot of difference between which card you choose as your dedicated dining cards. There are a lot of good choices out there from a lot of different banks, a lot of different issuers when it comes to what kind of dining card you're going to carry and you're going to use. But whatever it is, go out there, enjoy some good meals with family and friends, and rack up those points so that you can enjoy great elevated travel. Let me know your comments down below. Let me know what you think. Did I get it wrong? Did I get it right? I'd love to hear your opinion. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button, and we'll see you here next time.